In this video, we will see what are the various tools that supports the PDCA cycle. PDCA is nothing but Plan, Do, Check, Act. It is also called as Deming cycle. It is extensively used in many organizations. So, these 4-step process is elaborated as follows. You have the first step, which is your plan. Plan could be subdivided into 3 different steps. The first one is problem identification. Problem identification is very crucial process. It has to be done effectively in order to find out solutions for the problem. So first you have to identify the problem. Next is you have to investigate where we have gone wrong so that the problem has arisen. Then the third part of your plan will be your select countermeasures. It is nothing but we are going to identify measures which will help in solving the problem. So a perfect plan of how the problem could be minimized is analyzed and it is planned in this plan phase. Next comes the do phase. This is the second part of your PDCA cycle. So it is where the selected solution model is being implemented inside the organization. Everybody is made to follow that system in order to eradicate the problem. Next comes the check. Check is where you are going to check whether the selected new process is going to minimize the problem or not. Here evaluation takes place. And then based on the result of evaluation, we are either going to follow the same process or we are going to refine the selected process. This PDCA doesn't start and stop with a single cycle. It is going to continue. So regularly we are going to it is like a never ending process. You have the PDCA cycle to be consistent over a period of time inside the organization to get better results. We will see what are the various tools that could be useful in order to do each and every step of this PDCA process, because we need it. We cannot always talk and do. It has to be recorded somewhere, or you should use some tools so that it would be helpful in the plan, do, check, act process. So let us see each tool one by one. So for the step problem identification, we have to identify what the problem is. So we can use various tools like check sheet. Check sheet is nothing but a list of items could be listed down, and you can like check in which items are following or not. Okay, then you have the line graph. Line graph is you can plot a graph to identify what the problem is. Then you have flow chart, affinity diagram and Pareto chart. These are the various tools which will be useful for the step 1A, that is problem identification. You can use any of this tool. It depends on the knowledge level of the people who are involved in this problem identification phase. Next comes the step 1B, which is cost investigation. Cost investigation is a process where we are going to find out the cause of the problem. Okay, we are going to analyze what are the various reasons from which we have got this problem. So that is done using fishbone diagram, affinity diagram or interrelationship diagram. These tools will help in identifying the cause, and that is the root cause of the problem. So once we identify the root cause of the problem, definitely we can eradicate the problem by finding suitable countermeasures. The third tool is your select countermeasures. So we are going to analyze what are the problems, and we are going to form a matrix, and then we are going to find different solutions. Any problem could be solved n number of ways. So you can give all the ways in the columns, and you can tick which method is going to apply to all the causes that we have already analyzed in the step 1B. So the model which analyzes and gives solution for all the causes could be selected for the next, which is your do phase. This is your do phase, which is your implement countermeasures phase. So in the previous matrix, a model which has been applicable to solve all the cause of problem could be selected, and that method or solution is implemented. Okay, for the implementation you can have a plan, flow chart or a Gantt chart. So you can use any of this tool in order to represent the the countermeasure solution. Okay, so you can represent the plan, how we are going to solve. It could be a step-by-step process, or it could be a flow chart, so that it is easily understood by every other people in the organization. The next is your check. Check is where we are going to evaluate the effectiveness of the solution that we have selected. So you can have n number of tools for this. You can collect the data from every people in the organization, which will help us to evaluate whether the new process that we have incorporated is going to work, or is working fine or not. Okay, then you can have a check sheet, you can have a line graph which shows how the productivity has improved. If you have problem with productivity, it again depends on the nature of problem that you have identified in step 1A. Histogram is Pareto or all charts. Okay, so different representation of charts will help us understand how we have reduced the problem. Okay, how far this countermeasure is effective in reducing the problem. And again, you can have a flowchart. Flowchart is where you can analyze, you can evaluate the measure and check how effective it is. So these tools can be used in this check phase. Then comes the last step, which is your act or adjust. So this is the point where you're going to follow the same process. You're going to decide whether you're going to follow the same process or you're going to refine it. Okay, this is very, very crucial. Here you can use radar chart, again flow chart. You can give your SOPs. You can have a matrix, field analysis, where we are going to analyze whether the countermeasure that is selected is okay. If okay, you are going to again refine it. Again, you are going to run it, or you have to follow the process over a period of time to check whether the problem is minimized or not. So these are the various tools that are useful in your PDCA cycle. We will see few examples of that as well. This is for problem solving. We have 5W1H method. It is nothing but 5why 1 how method. So you will be asking 5 why questions for any problem that you have analyzed. Okay, the first step is you have to identify the problem. For each problem that we have found, we are going to ask 5 why questions. Why? You are going to ask 5 why questions, and once we have found out the root cause, or we have come to a level of ignorance, we will ask the how question. We have analyzed using why. Now we will ask how question, which will tell us how it could be solved. So this is 5 why analysis. It is elaborately used in problem identification and problem solving. Next is your Pareto diagram, and then your fishbone analysis. Fishbone analysis is a diagram which is used to analyze the cause and effect. So the cause of the problem is analyzed based on the category. For each category, you are going to analyze what is the cause. For each category of problem, we are going to analyze the cause and its equivalent effect. Okay, so what is the kind of effect that is caused by the respective problem, that is analyzed using this fishbone diagram. This fishbone diagram is very useful in order to analyze the root cause of the problem. Once the root cause is identified, it is very easy for us to eradicate by employing suitable techniques. Okay, so creating a fishbone diagram is, again, you will analyze what are the various problems that are in prioritize. You can prioritize the problems, and then you can find out the effect that is caused by each and every criteria. Next is your Pareto chart. Pareto chart is nothing but you will have a chart which will show how your frequency or magnitude of the issue is there. Okay, so you might have n number of problems, so you have to identify which is the highly prioritized problem that has to be solved immediately. That could be analyzed using chart. Chart is again a visual tool which will help us to understand clearly what the problem is. Finally, the flow chart. Flow chart is where you will be drawing a complete chart and it will give solution to problem. Next comes your A3. A3 method is you are following a A3 sheet. Okay, A3 sheet template. This is a template where you will be having the title of the project here, and the name, date, and other details of the stakeholders here, and finally the approval authorities at the bottom. This is the structure of the A3 chart. By filling all the necessary elements in this chart, we can analyze where where we are lagging in the process. So here this is the problem statement. We will be elaborating the problem statement here, and we have to analyze the current situation, like where are we, why it is this problem has evolved. That is where the current situation is. Then what is the goal, what are we going to achieve, what is our company goal, that we have to record it here. And the root cause analysis, you can use either Pareto diagram, flow chart, fishbone analysis, whatever you want, you can use it here, which will help us in identifying the root cause and effect of the problem. And then this root cause analysis will lead to recommendation. This recommendation is, this part will contain the countermeasures of how we can give a solution to the problem and what are the various alternatives are available. Then based on n number of alternatives, you are going to select one alternative and that is going to be implemented, and you are going to record all the information related to this in this segment. Okay, then once the plan is implemented, the follow-up actions and the evaluation is recorded in this part. Finally, the approval is given in the bottom. So this complete A3 sheet will help in completely analyzing the four steps PDCA cycle of your process. Okay, so this helps in the complete PDCA process. So now we will see what are the various problem solving methods and tools. Along with the various other tools, for problem solving we saw one method called 5i and 1h, right? And we also used fishbone diagram where we analyzed the cause and the effect, right? Similarly, we have various other tools which will help in solving the problem. Okay, that the first one is coaching. So the few problems might arise due to the lack of understanding of the people inside the organization, so that could be eradicated using coaching. Okay, you can give training to the employees. Okay, we can give training to the employees, and that could eradicate majority of the problem inside the organization. Next is observation. Perfect data collection and perfect data analysis will help in eradicating problem at the earlier stage itself. So this is also one of the tool or method. Brainstorming is where a problem could be given and everybody will allow to decide on the solution. This is one kind of brainstorming. Other thing is when we continuously and consistently have a discussion phase with all the employees inside the organization, few problems could be easily reduced before it occurs. Okay, before it occurs and creates a mess, that could be reduced. And you can also use other tools like such as flowcharts, 5i and 1h method, that is 1 how method, and your fishbone diagram for solving the problems. So this is your complete PDCA cycle, where you started with the hypothesis, where you identified the problem, okay, and you have found the countermeasures, and this second part of the cycle. So the major component here is your plan. Plan involves more than 50% of the work. Yes, so once the plan is perfectly done, we are going to implement, try it, and what it has reflected, what the result has reflected is analyzed, and then we are going to take necessary action. This is a scientifically proven method. It is called PDCA, plan, do, check, act cycle, which could be consistently used, okay, repeatedly used inside the organization in order to solve problems and to improve. For continuous improvement, you will be employing this PDCA cycle in the organization. So these are the various tools that could help in effectively following up this PDCA model in the organization.